In 2013, Chitty was one of our first giant big shows in West Valley, and it truly was magical. It really kind of set a tone for me as a designer of shooting big and trying to make the impossible happen. When we first did Chitty, a lot of our challenges, we were still really kind of developing and understanding who we are as a theater. It was a huge undertaking to build a car. In 2013, I think we built the car in about 5 weeks. Moving forward to now, we built our new car in about the same amount of time. The design process is pretty lengthy. We start months out before the show opens of coming up with ideas and brainstorming, kind of working through what we have and what we need and coming up with the ideas for the show. And a show like this, I think you don't really understand how many people it takes. A lot of times I know I get the credit, I'm the set designer, but it's truly dozens and dozens of people working, supporting my designs to make it happen.
Because we built the car 9 years ago, we didn't design it to be able to fly or be rigged from cables. So instead of trying to retrofit the car, it was easier just to build a second car.
The second car was an interesting car in kind of how to make something work that really could end the show. The end of the show really kind of relies on this car being able to fly in and save the day.
The set designer will sort of give us his wants and wishes, and a lot of those we take to the next level and we'll say, yeah, that's really cool, but what if we did this? So Casey wanted propellers on the car.
I researched back to the movie and back to old posters of the original movie, and in a lot of the old posters, the idea of a helicopter version of Chitty came to mind, where there's propellers on the outside. It's not just the wings, it's these propellers that move it. So that's where the initial idea came for our new Chitty was, in the opening, we have a boat Chitty, we have a flying Chitty, and then we end the show with a helicopter version of Chitty.
With this show, when they did it before, West Valley, they only had the one car, and so we knew that we were going to get a second car. And like the number one question people asked, or like even like my family's like, is Chitty going to fly? Like, is going to be a flying Chitty? And I was like, you're going to have to wait and see. And a lot of that was like, I don't know if it's Chitty's going to really fly. I'm excited to see what's going to happen too. And so there's the stage Chitty, which was really cool to work with because it was the stage movement and how it works and how it flies and the wings coming out is so specific and technical that it is magical.
Today we're going to walk through the Chitty car and show you all the cool mechanical and electrical stuff going on with it. And so there are little gear motors that are on the inside of this swing arm on the back of each wheel. There are linear actuators that push these swing arms up and out to allow the wheels to lift. These are the actual gear motors that turn the wheels. So this motor fits all the way back inside this tube to allow it to collapse all the way down when the wheels go down. Here, where this flap will lift up, and so that's another linear actuator, kind of the same looking one that's on the wheels. And then if you look closely all the way in here, there's another linear actuator that's going to push the wings all the way out and extend them. For the actual lifting mechanism of Chitty, for it to fly, we have these pneumatic rams that are built into the stage specifically for this show. These two pneumatic rams in the front are on a pivot, so it can swivel forward and backward, which allows us to get that pitching movement as the stage lifts move up and down. We have put laser alignments coming from this little switch right here. So the technician in the pit pulls this lever out. This one's a little farther back, so it's easier to see. And so if I block the light, you can see that little pink spike mark on stage right there, where the laser has to line up with to make sure that everything is in the right place for quick alignment in the dark. So that lifts all the way up like that, and there are people in the car, and then as Nick starts to manipulate the stage lifts, you'll see the front one tipping forward and back to allow for that pivot motion. We can have a 4-foot offset between the two lifts before the ram and its pivoting angle starts to hit stuff.
Head. Oh, it's the head straight down, Mr. Paul! Oh, really?
So what we are about to do right now is our Chitty is going to come down from the stage level into the pit, and we are going to rotate her about 45 degrees into a flying position.
Alex? Alex, can we get the laser? Yeah. Thank you. Ready?
Yep.
3, 2. Clear to pop the panel?
We are clear to pop the panels. No, nothing?
Clear for low pressure lift?
We are clear for low pressure lift. Sometime. It's louder than always. There she goes.
I keep saying to people, like, I love how, like, at the end of Act 1 kind of tricks you, because you think, oh, this is where the car's going to fly, you know? And it does fly, because everything you did to do, like, the fog and all the mechanics on it looks like it's flying, but I love that it builds into when we actually fly Chitty at the end of the show, when she comes in and she lands and she saves everybody.
For this particular show, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, we've got 3 people up here, myself and then 2 other fly technicians. I run the board. The fly technicians who are up here typically move the set pieces into place, and then I'll bring in the lifters from the rig. They'll hook up a set piece, and once they've cleared it to fly, they'll say that the set piece is good to lift, and I'll lift the set piece from the board here, and then we'll swap the rigs over so that this set piece can come in, and we'll start unhooking and setting up for the next scene over on this side. Rig A is yours. When a cable is under tension, because it is a spiraling cable, it actually will twist. And so to not twist up our rig cables, we actually have a swivel on here so that this cable will twist and our rig cables can stay completely straight, and they come in to each one of these sides of this bear paw. All of these propellers spin independently, and then these large propellers have their own little motors on the side, and then we've got a piece of nice plastic on the inside of this tube so that our cables on the outsides can rub up against it, but we're not damaging the cables when it does its twists and turns. So we do everything that we can to make sure our actors are 100% safe, and so we actually have rated buckles in here for fall protection, and every single person who gets in here actually has a set of buckles, and it's on their harness, and that harness is underneath their costume. And so they actually pull their buckles out from their pockets and then clip in and tighten themselves in. It is just a quick release buckle, but it can't release under tension. Now there is a safety signal that's given. Grandpa and the kids are brought up here, and myself and the rest of the fly team puts them into their seats, makes sure they get all tightened up, and then we fly them over the hole. But when Caractacus and Truly get in, they're loading in on stage, and so they have a signal to essentially tell the stage manager that they are clipped in, they're safe, and they've double-checked the kids to make sure they're safe as well. Truly will get in, and she puts both hands on the steering wheel. And then I believe Caractacus puts his arm around Truly. But he doesn't do that until he's fully clipped in, and she doesn't fully put both hands on the steering wheel until she's all the way clipped in. And they've double checked that the kids are still clipped in and safe.
I work with a team. I have 3 different operators, 4 different operators, 2 of which run this position, and then we have 2 more gentlemen upstairs who run what we call Auto 2, and they're the ones that are responsible for all of the hooking up and rigging all of the flown scenery and sending it over the hole, and then the show cue that actually brings them in is executed by Auto 1, which is this position. So this is called a Polaris. This runs all of our cues in the show. We have a master player that we essentially take the cues from that are called by the stage manager. And then with our screens, we're able to see all of the information in tons of colors available to us throughout the show. So we have the best situational awareness as possible. All of our axes here, all of our stage axes and all of the flown axes from our 2 rigs up above that fly the scenery in and out. And then on this screen we have our actual cues. This is our master cue list, which then references all the cues in their sub cues, as we call them. And then, of course, all the different system information and safety triggers and edges and lasers and all the other safety stuff related to the show. We also have on this screen a 3D representation of our system and our lifts and our flies. So from here I can see all of our stage lifts in a virtual space, and as well as our rigs up above. We have our north rig and our south rig here, and so these will actually move in real time with those cues as they travel on and off stage, as we say, over the hole. This is helpful for if we have a scenic piece that's flown in and we need to identify one of the lift lines, for example. We can easily reference this to be able to figure out which one of those hoisted it is. So that's helpful to have as again, to add to the situational awareness for the operator. And then again, our lifts here all move in real time as well with the rotation and the lifts up and down, so we can have all that information available to us. The way I programmed this car is I actually tied the 4 axes that it's flying on to a joystick. So we have pitch and we have roll. When I click the trigger, it actually activates the axes, like right now. And then as I roll the stick to the left, the car rolls to the left, and then subsequently to the right, it'll roll to the right. I can pull up to pitch up, I can push down to pitch down, and as I go in circles, you can see here that I can create any kind of move I want. When it's flying for its actual end of the show, the finale of Act 2 essentially, it does a little pitch and roll, and at the same time when it comes in for bows, I actually was able to have the car actually bow to the different sections of the audience, so that was a little fun thing to do. And it's rewarding when people recognize that when someone's sitting in the audience, they go, "Did the car just bow?" And so that was a fun part for me to program.
One of the great gifts of this show is really watching the patrons come and see it. It's giving people an opportunity as grandparents with their grandchildren or parents with their kids to sit together and see magic happen on stage. And that's what I love about shows like Chitty. It's all about magic. And it's those moments of coming together, whether those working on it off stage beforehand or those coming to see it as an audience member. We're all coming together to have a moment of magic. And I really think we need a lot more of that in our world.